Hey there guys, Mr. Luna here, just stopping by to share another video lesson with you. So today marks the fourth week of practice that we have had online, and I want you guys to just stay very positive and motivated in order to complete these assignments. I know that it can be a little bit kind of like bothersome to keep on getting assignments after assignments, but remember, you are at home, you do have the luxury to organize your time accordingly and to take care of all the assignments. So don't stay behind, do not hesitate from actually doing what you should be doing so that way you take care of all your assignments in a very productive manner and as well as with enough time to finish. So today, guys, today I do want to cover yet another FRQ. Today we'll focus on unit number 5, which is all about cognition. Now, under unit number 5, we do have um, cognition, right? So we need to start thinking about cognition and how this topic relates to AP psychology overall. Today I wanted to cover this one FRQ. It's called New City, Heuristics, Finding a Hotel, and Language Challenges. So as mentioned, we always need to make sure that we start tracking our times. So from now on forward, I really do want you guys to have a timer in order to jot down the amount of time that it's taking you to complete an FRQ. So as soon as you start the FRQ, I want you to set the timer and I want you guys to take note of how much time it took you to complete the FRQ. Remember, I typically select the FRQs that I assign to you and that are due 2 week or 2 days later to replicate the experience of the AP exam as much as I can. So the questions that I do select are very long, they're hefty. So we need to know how to work on them in under 40 minutes. If you notice here, this one question, the directions give us 25 minutes to answer the question. So if you can do it in 25 minutes, that is amazing. And I want you guys to be pushing for that amount of time because if you're writing the responses in 25 minutes, then you're also able to take care of this in under 40 minutes. Remember, you will have about 45 minutes for the AP exam. Those out of those 5 minutes you want, or 45 minutes, you want to save 5 minutes off to the side to kind of be able to upload your material and all that good stuff. But we'll be covering that very, very soon as well. I wanted to tell you guys that there will also be mock exams starting next week and the week following after that. So be on the lookout for mock exams for all your other AP courses. So that way you know exactly when the mock exam is and you can sign on and get the experience of what it feels like to get logged on and to take the test and to finish the test. So that way on the real test day on May 19th, you're not freaking out and everything is pretty fine and dandy. All right, so let's go ahead and just jump right into this. The question says, Richard is visiting a new city in a country he has never been to before. He signed up for a group walking tour to find out about the city's landmarks and history. He had always heard that the people in this area had light hair, blue eyes, and were very tall. Yet he has seen many people who do not fit this description. He also saw on the news that this city may be dangerous because a tourist was mugged in a park in a city center just last week. The tour guide assures him that he is safe and that the mugging was an isolated incident. Later in that day, Richard is taking pictures and finds that he was lost the tour group, or that he lost the tour group. Awesome. So now, there's a lot of things going on, right? So we need to really interpret the question and what is happening in the question. So today, we're taking care of part A together. We'll do that as an independent practice, as a guided practice. And then you'll jump into your independent practice, which will take care of B and C. So by completing A, you should have literally a great idea as to how to tackle down B and C. Not to mention, we have been covering this process for 3 weeks now. This is the 4th week. So you should be very familiar as to how to tackle it down. Remember, you need to define what they want you to define and then to relate that term or concept to the scenario above. So let's go ahead and break down the scenario just a tiny bit more. So we know that Richard is visiting a new country. He's never been before. He signed up for a group walking tour to find out about the city's landmarks. He had always heard that people around this area had a certain way of looking, but that's not true. He also saw on the news that the city was dangerous because a tourist was mugged last week in the park. The tour guide assures him he is safe and that the mugging was an isolated incident. So they try to reassure him, like, no, everything's okay. That was an isolated incident. It's not like that. Richard is taking pictures and finds that he has lost the tour group. So also, while he's listening to this and undergoing the guide of the city or the tour of the city, Richard is taking pictures and then loses the group. So, how can the following impact the experiences Richard will have on the people he will meet in this new city? So, we need to use the word representative heuristic, availability heuristic, and belief perseverance. And remember, we need to explain how the following, these, can impact the experiences Richard will have and the people he will meet in this new city. So, let's go ahead and dive into the prompt or the rubric for the prompt. If you guys don't know the definitions to these words, it's going to be very, very difficult to answer the question, right? So we need to make sure that we understand what it is. So in general, representative heuristic is the response that should indicate um, a method of problem solving where a person or a situation is judged on how closely they fit a prototype or past example. So, for example, when Richard sees a person with blonde hair and blue eyes, he will tend to believe that this person is originally from the city because they fit the prototype that he holds in his mind for someone who lives in this area. So, remember, a representative heuristic is just a representation, a mental shortcut or mental representation of what something is supposed to look like. And then you deem that as true if you see it. So with availability heuristic, on the other hand, this is the response should indicate that the availability heuristic is a problem solving strategy based on how quickly information comes to mind regarding a similar event. So for availability heuristic, it's a mental shortcut that allows you to take care of something a lot faster. So, for example, Richard keeps thinking about the story on the news of a person getting mugged in the city because this information regarding the city that first pops into his head. He is under the impression that the city is dangerous, but as the tour guide pointed out, it is likely that he is safe. So, availability heuristic is a mental shortcut or a judgment we make based on a more recent or a very recent experience that we hold. That's what we call an availability heuristic. So if you watch the news, a current availability heuristic that we could kind of talk about as an example would be COVID-19, because COVID-19, every time that you watch the news, you get an available heuristic or a very sudden, very prompt heuristic that then you make judgments on. So availability heuristic. Now, belief perseverance, when we're talking about that, all we're talking about is that it occurs when a person continues to stick with their original beliefs when faced in contrary evidence. For example, the tour guide has clearly told Richard that the city is fairly safe, but despite these assurances, Richard continues to believe that the city is dangerous. So, belief perseverance is just simply when we keep the same mentality or same beliefs, regardless of being proved wrong. So, that is what belief perseverance is. Now, as I mentioned, today you're taking care of the rest. You'll take care of cognitive math. You'll take care of deducting reasoning. You'll take care of morphine and linguistic relativity theory. We are taking care of the first part, which is part A, representative heuristic, availability heuristic, and belief perseverance. So let's go ahead and dive into creating a response for part A. Now that we have looked at the rubric and that we have a good understanding of what the definitions are to these terms and we know how to explain how they relate to the scenario, we need to take care of that. So a very easy way to take care of it, part A, would be like this. So part A, representative heuristic is used when we think of a prototype or the best example of a given category. Since Richard has the image of all individuals from this area as tall with light hair and blue eyes, this serves as his prototype and he expects that nearly everyone he sees will fall into this category because heuristics are shortcuts for problem solving, he is finding out that he is not always correct. Now, jumping onto availability heuristic. That is the first thing that pops into your mind in a given situation. Since Richard has recently heard about someone who was mugged in the city park, this is the information that readily pops into his mind and will cause Richard to think that he is in a dangerous city. And then belief perseverance occurs when one continues to stick to their original beliefs even in the face of contrary evidence. Even though the tour guide, who knows far more about the city than Richard, told him that he was fairly safe in this place, Richard continued to believe that he was in a dangerous city. So you see, here all we did was we defined what representative heuristic was. So it is used when we think of a prototype or the best example of a given category. We define availability heuristic. It is the first thing that pops into your mind in a given situation. And we define belief perseverance, which occurs when one continues to stick to their original plan, even though faced with contrary evidence. So those were our definitions. And then we took care of explaining exactly how these terms relate to what was going on in this scenario. So whenever you start working on part B and on part C, take care of the prompt the way that we did. So define first and foremost, and then connect it to the scenario. So define and then explain. So guys, if you have any questions or any concerns, comments, ideas, by all means, please reach out to me. I am here to help you and to guide you through all this. So make sure that you're reaching out if you're ever needing assistance. But this is all we have today. It will be due on Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. So I do want you guys to complete this as soon as possible. I just want you to sit down. Remember, when you sit down, just simply start a timer and start tracking how much time it takes you to complete the FRQ question, and start letting me know how much time it's taking you, because you're supposed to be doing this in under 40 minutes. So be aware of that and keep it in mind, and do not forget, and keep working and practicing hard. Have a great day.